everyone. So today we'll be looking at 3 Excel tricks every beginner should know. So these 3 Excel tricks I'm going to show you today is going to save you a lot of time if you're dealing with a huge data set. And I encourage you to try them and practice them because they'll save you a lot of time. Okay, so the first one we're going to discuss is freezing rows or columns. So as we can see, so this is a simple data set I'm using in my examples. When we scroll up or down, you can see that the first row moves along. So the headers, you can see the headers. So if we want to freeze the first row so that header don't move, all we need to do is go to view, click on view, and click freeze top row. If we do that, you can see that line appears there, which means if we scroll up or down the spreadsheet, that header remains there. So if we want to undo a freeze, all we do is click here and that unfreezes everything. Same rule applies to the first column. So if we want to freeze, if we want the first column to remain constant where it is, we freeze first column. Again, if we move this spreadsheet to the right, we can see that first column remains there. Same rule applies to unfreeze. So if we click on freeze here, that disappears. Okay, so now let's look at more complicated scenarios. So if we want to freeze the top 2 rows and the top 2 columns, so we want to freeze these top 2 columns here, products and units sold, and the first 2 rows, so product and blueberries row, product and blueberry row. All we need to do is click our cursor here. So basically we want to click our cursor just after the row or column we want to freeze. So in this instance is C3. So I've clicked my cursor into that cell, and all I need to do is click freeze pants. So you can see that line appears here, and that's basically, if I scroll up, those 2 first rows remain, or if I scroll to the right, those 2 first columns remain. Okay, so I'm going to unfreeze that and try something else. So I want to freeze the first row and just the first row and the first 2 columns. So I'm going to put that in C. I'm going to put my cursor in C2 and then click freeze pants. And as we can see, that first row is frozen, but the first 2 columns still remains constant. So freezing rows and columns is very crucial for working with large data sets, and this allows you to always see the headers while scrolling left or right, so you don't lose a header and have to go back up to see what the header is. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is autofill. So basically, if we have a formula in a particular cell and we want to autofill it down, that's what we're going to look at. Excel can help us in that scenario. Okay, let's look at the first example here. So I'm going to calculate the profit for blueberries, which is our total sales minus our expense, and click enter. So that gives us £130. If we want to apply this formula going down, all we need to do is put our cursor on the edge here and drag it down. Excel automatically applies our formula for each of those cells going down according to the product type. So the second example we're going to look at here for autofill is percentage. So I'm going to calculate our percentage here, which is the profit for blueberries. Sorry, the percentage for blueberries, which is the profit over the total, and click enter. So that gives us 14% for blueberries. Again, I'm going to pull this formula down so autofill can help us, but it gives us an error. And the reason the error is there is because as we move along, so what we want to do is we want to divide it by the total. So as we move along, we want autofill to point at £900, which is the total profit. But as you can see in the first one, F7, it points there. And then as we go down, F8, F9. So the formula moves across with it. So very easy fix. So what we need to do so that the total or that cell can be constant is put the $sign in front of. So if we come here, F7, so we want to put the $sign in front of F and in front of 7 as well, which means if we pull the formula down, autofill is going to constantly look at that particular cell. So I'm going to pull this down. So there, so that gives us our total. And sometimes, well, all the time, it's always good to do your spot check. So this has to add up to 100, which in this case we can see it adds up to 100. The third trick we're going to look at is sum. So we want to look at easy ways to sum. So the traditional way to sum the profits is equal sum, and then we click our range, which is this top to, which is that whole range for profit, and then bracket close and click enter. So there's another way to do it, which is really quick. So I'm going to delete this. So all I need to do is click Alt equal plus if I'm a Windows user, or Command Shift T if I'm a Mac user. So in this case, I'm using a MacBook, and I'm going to click Command Shift T, and that gives me the total. So I'm going to try that again here just to give you another view of it. So Command Shift T, and that gives me the total. So I'll just do an I'm just going to do a spot check just to make sure it's right. So here we can see that that actually is right. So the next thing I'm going to show you is to apply that on multiple cells. So if we want to apply on all these cells, all we need to do is select all of them and click Command Shift T, or Alt equals plus for a Windows user. So again, I'm going to undo that. Something else I need to show you is if you want to apply that formula on two different cells that are not side to side, all you need to do is click on your first cell. If you're a Mac user, click and hold Command and then click on your second cell. If you're a Windows user, click on your first cell, click and hold Shift and click on your second cell, and then click Command Shift T, or Alt equals plus for Windows user. I hope this was really helpful. Please try this and let me know if that worked for you. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I'll answer it as much as I can. Thank you. See ya.